Okay, so now we have a program that we can use to scan or ping the address that we already defined here. The next thing we want to do is we want to scan a number of ports. So our current program just scans port number 80, which is here. But what we want to do is we want to scan a number of ports. So to do this, what we can do is that we can iterate over from 1 to 100, and then each time we change the number of port, for example which port we are using. So let's create a for loop here, and then we define a variable called I, which would have a value of 1 initially, and then we will increment this value over each iteration. And then let's say we want to scan 100 ports, and the post condition would be that we will iterate or increment, and then we will put this whole thing inside the loop. Now if you write just I here, you can see that there will be an error because this thing which is I is an integer, but this whole thing is a string, so you cannot concatenate an integer onto a string. So there are various ways you can work around it. Either you can use this thing to convert it into an integer. Let's remove this port here and work with it, and if I run it, you will see that it works perfectly, but there was a slight problem that I will explain later. The next thing we want to do is we can use the sprintf function. So what you can do is you can use fmt.sprintf. So what this function will do is, if you go to the documentation, it says that sprintf formats according to a format specifier and returns the resulting string. So what we want to do is we want to define a format here. So our first thing should be IP, and then we need to provide this dot operator, and the last thing we will define is a %d operator. So this %d will replace I, and then it will return the whole string into this address. So this I will be replaced here, and this whole thing will become a string and return to this address variable. And then if there is a connection match, what we can do is we can say connection established, and then we can define the port number, which would be, let's call it printf instead of println, and then we can say port %v, which would be the value of this port, and then we can give out I because this is the port number that we are working with. So if there is a connection from some port, it will print out its value here. So if I run this again, you will see that we got a connection from port number 22. So there is some issue here. So this is a formatting issue. You can see that we got connection from two ports, so port number 22 and port number 80. So these two ports are open, and we got a connection from these ports. In next lecture, we'll try to build a concurrent program that will do this process in a more faster way. Okay, so there is this thing port 22, and then there is an error which is extra string, and I will try to remove this in the next lecture.